Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. We are talking with Brenda Hollingsworth, personal injury lawyer. You can give us a call live on the air, 789-6559, extension 2803. You can always reach us via our Facebook, our Twitter handle, and our email. That's the best way to get things through. We're going to take a phone call in just a second, but I wanted to ask you something because oftentimes, especially here in Ottawa, sometimes people ship over to the big bad Toronto and go with the big wigs in Toronto, and that's not necessarily the best case, especially here in Eastern Ontario.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, my advice is if you have an Eastern Ontario accident, you should have an Eastern Ontario lawyer, especially in personal injury. There's a lot of involvement with rehabilitation specialists like physiotherapists, occupational therapists. We deal with the same adjusters in Eastern Ontario all the time, and those relationships really do matter. Like the experts, we know the Eastern Ontario experts. We know which experts will travel to Ottawa and when. It ends up being a lot of personal service that you get if you're actually dealing with someone who knows the market here. We have often taken over cases from people who have initially started out of Ottawa and just found they never hear from the lawyer or never see the lawyer, and they want that relationship. So certainly no one should think that they have to go to Toronto to get good representation in Eastern Ontario. There are many personal injury lawyers. Our firm is one of them, but there are many really good personal injury lawyers in Ottawa, and they should, Ottawa people should consider them.
I think relationships and understanding that how people work is critical.
It really is. I mean, you're negotiating, right? This is all negotiation. So there needs to be a relationship, there needs to be a rapport, and knowing that we do business with each other all the time, the lawyer, the other lawyers, and the insurance adjusters, it helps us get things done.
Absolutely. Okay, and I do believe we do have someone on the phone right now, and I'm sorry I didn't quite catch that name. Marlene is on the phone. Sorry, Marlene, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, what's your question for Brenda?
My roommate had an accident. She went, a car opened its door and she flew over it on her bike.
Yeah, that's really common.
Yeah, and anyway, she ended up, they told us it was not catastrophic, so she had no case.
Okay.
Lawyer we went to.
Yeah, there's no requirement in Ontario that an accident be catastrophic in order for you to get compensation. In Ontario, there is a threshold. You have to have a serious and permanent injury in order to get damages for pain and suffering. But there's a big difference between serious and permanent and catastrophic. Catastrophic to me is sort of paraplegia, quadriplegia, a very serious brain injury. But if you've got some injuries that have stuck around, certainly if you have any kind of fracture or any kind of disc problem that has lingered for a period of time, it's definitely worth getting a consultation with a personal injury lawyer. If a lawyer is telling you you don't have a case, make sure it is a personal injury lawyer and not your real estate lawyer. And it may be that you're seeing a lawyer who only handles catastrophic cases. There are some lawyers in Ottawa who focus strictly on catastrophic cases, and so you may not be a client for them, but there may be a number of other personal injury lawyers, including in our office, who handle all kinds of cases from relatively small to catastrophic.
I'm listening to your answer right now, and I'm thinking how difficult a situation it must be for certain individuals in your line of work, because you're wanting, unfortunately, the clients that you have when you're talking about some of these catastrophic. This is life altering. This is life changing.
Oh,
this is very difficult time for people and their families to be going through.
Oh, it is really difficult, and the catastrophic cases. If somebody becomes quadriplegic, everybody knows how serious it is, and everybody, there's a lot of support for people with that kind of disability. I mean, it's still horrific. But the hidden disabilities really are the ones that tear my heart out, like the people who have serious traumatic brain injuries, but they look fine, and most of the aspects of their lives are fine, but they can't work. Even though they can carry on a conversation, they can't concentrate, they can't remember things. So there's a whole group of people out there in our city who have these kinds of injuries that you don't see, and they often don't get the support. They're not believed because it doesn't show up on an x-ray. They look fine, so their friends and family are like, okay, it's been a while, you should be fine now. And really, an experienced personal injury lawyer is needed for people like that, to get the right experts to show everybody, look, this person's injured. This is what's wrong with them. These are the tests that show what's wrong with them, so that they get compensation on one hand and the support too.
Well, hopefully we've answered at least Marlene's question there for sure. We do have to take another break. We will have another segment. If you want to get your question in, you can send it in via phone call, via email. We have Twitter, we have Facebook. It's amazing the different ways that you can get a hold of us. Once again, that number 789-6559, extension 2803. There's how you can get a hold of Brenda at her law firm. There's the email, the phone number. Also, a great resource is her website, www.askbrenda.ca.